It's funny. Okay, so we have been hinting about this episode for a while because of the weird race stuff. And that is there, and we're gonna get into it. But I will say, maybe my favorite episode.
Yeah, I think it's the best so far.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is like kind of like, I wouldn't say good, but by the rubric we've been measuring by, good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I kind of like it. I think the episodes in the first half, because now we're in like the second half.
Yeah.
There was a Kendrick Lamar-esque Super Bowl halftime show with Abhishek in the middle. But now
where we called people pedophiles.
Yes, of course. Everyone remembers famously. That's our most viewed video. But I do think the episodes in the latter half I'm enjoying more. Like last week's episode, I enjoyed a little bit, and then when it automatically plays, I start watching the next episode. And I'm like, this is also the best episode. Every episode is the best one so far.
Right.
In this run.
I think it's still not fully gelling for me because the things that it's bad at, it still insists on doing, and the things that it's good at are still not like great enough for me to like fully buy in, but it does feel like it's learning what it's best at, and it's focusing on that, and that's what I've been coming to appreciate, and that's I think what one should expect from any first season sitcom. Like that's what you'll hope for.
Yeah, Mulaney is like the sitcom is like when I went on a cruise in high school, and you kind of get used to the rocking of the boat to where you don't notice it anymore. Yeah. But the second you watch anything else, like I just watched all of Severance, and I'm like, God, Mulaney is so bad.
I know.
When you're on it, you're like,
step on steady ground, and you're like, oh, I want to throw up. But I was okay for the past week.
Yes. When you're only watching Mulaney, it subtly gets better and you like it more. But if you watch anything else, it ruins the show.
It's like that old bit about like, it's not like any one joke. It's like everyone has this joke. But it's like, watch this TV show. The first 3 seasons are terrible. But by the time you get to the 4th one, you've committed so far that you don't care anymore and you're just willing to ride it out the whole way.
That's right. That's exactly right. Except Mulaney is, hey, watch this TV show. It's bad.
Yeah. And you don't ever really think that it's good, but for some reason you like the guy. Yeah.
If you like irony.
Yeah. But
no stand-up cold open.
No stand-up cold open, and immediately I was like, that is interesting. So I don't know if we want to like talk about this a bit because I didn't get a chance to watch a bunch of the new season of Everybody's Live, but I've seen like the clips that they're posting on YouTube and stuff, and I think it's funny.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, but he has been on a recent press tour to promote this, and he did a really good 60 Minutes interview. Did you watch that?
Yeah, it was great. That was
really
really
great.
Good.
And the thing that I think he's been saying for a while, but like he phrased it in a way that was really good, was he said like, I think it was something like, being honest is not authentic. Like authenticity to your voice is important comedically, but that doesn't necessarily mean being confessional. And I don't think he meant that specifically as an attack on all his fans who got mad at whatever, but it is something that I've always felt and like have not heard phrased so eloquently before. And it is interesting to seeing that in the show because the first few episodes we get, stabs at like interesting stuff like his in episode 2 the anecdote about him passing out during the Miracle of Life video, which I do think is probably a very true thing, and it just doesn't read because it's not authentic to the sitcom. It's authentic to him on stage when he phrases it like that or on a talk show. But here we're getting something that's like, I don't believe he's ever talked about in his stand-up where he auditioned for the role of Home Alone, like for the role in Home Alone, and just having that cold open of like the scroll up and then a cut to a surprisingly good child actor playing a young John Mulaney. Like there's moments where I'm like, he's a better actor than adult John. But when you do that, I'm like, this is weird. This is interesting. You've hooked me. Like I'm into this. This is automatically my favorite cold open because everything else has just been stand-up clips that have all been, for the most part, worse than any of his stand-up I could get from his albums.
Right. It's either a bit you've already heard better or a bit that's clearly...
not, that wasn't good enough to get onto in any of his hours.
It's like a road bit after he put out the special. That's what he starts with because you know what I mean? It's like that shit. But, so, wait, he really did audition for...
He really did. He was in a childhood improv group when he was like 8 or 9. And they just were auditioning because that movie I think they shot it. It takes place and they shot it in Chicago. So they were just asking kids to audition for it. I think what it was actually was he was asked to audition, but his parents said no because they were like, we don't want him or whatever. But also it's one of those things where it's like, obviously he wouldn't have gotten it. Like obviously it would have gone to Macaulay Culkin. But that's the seed of truth here that spins out to the episode.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I thought it was just a fictionalized thing for it, but that does make sense. I like how this episode begins with Jane speaking for 3 uninterrupted minutes while Motif just kind of nods, and she just sort of does like 3 different bits and then the show starts.
And all of those bits are... they're clearly, because they're like analogy bits about like the network Christmas special or whatever, and it's like they're stand-up bits, you know, like clearly these were bits from one of the stand-ups in the room that didn't work on stage and they put them in the voice of this character, and it's again speaks to that issue of like an authentic voice. It's like this probably barely worked on stage in a stand-up context. It's really not going to work in the voice of a sitcom character in a multicam context, you know?
Yeah. So, like, this episode is like John is producing Luke Cannon's Christmas special. And Jane says, a network Christmas special is like an old man getting dressed to go out. It's sweet, but what do you think is going to happen,
man? Which I don't even get as a joke. Like,
I don't
know
understand
what that
either.
means.
This like, sounds like a joke, but it has absolutely no meaning. It has
no rhythms of it,
If you're old and you go out and try to get laid, that's like a gamble, but like, what is getting laid equivalent to like, what would that be?
Right, exactly. Like, get like high ratings. I'm sure they could. You know what I mean? Like
there's no getting laid for a Christmas.
But you know what it is? It's like I can imagine you do a funny voice on stage. You can make people laugh with that in Peoria, you know. But like this one, I'm like, you know, I don't know what this is, you know.
Yeah.
And so then we have. I do want to say Elliot Gould showing up in a Santa hat, talking about how he writes his own Christmas carols. It's so insane. Like, the jokes don't really fully work, but he's such a demented character, and like the way he delivers it is so weird that he is really growing on me. I'm like, yeah, I feel like you don't get it, but you don't get it the same way I don't get it, and that makes me like you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do think that this whole intro scene is, again, one of the better ones where you can see these 4 characters kind of meshing in a good way that we really haven't seen in the first half of this introductory season to the sitcom. But there is some weird bits, though. Like the one with the old man going out, that one's weird. Motif says he auditioned for When Harry Met Sally at 6 years old, and his audition was him singing Rockin' Robin while his mom clapped in the corner, and he made it to the final callback. So it's like, this is something that Mulaney, the sitcom, always does. It wants to go weird with a past reveal about a character. Like Motif was auditioning for a movie he should never be auditioning for. But it's so weird that you end up like being confused because like Motif was a child actor who auditioned for the role of an adult man in a romantic comedy in the 90s. Sure. But then it's like his audition was him singing a song with his mom in the room, and he actually made it to the final round. It's like, that joke is perfect for what's wrong with the jokes in the show sometimes.
And you know what it is it's because there is no overall voice, it's reflected in the lack of specificity in each of the characters' identities. Yes. And so I've been watching a lot of Happy Endings. That show, I don't know if you've ever watched it.
Of course I've watched Happy Endings.
Yeah. Well, we've never talked about it.
I was trying to... I don't know why I said it like that. I don't know why I said it.
We never sat down and we were like, "What? Name every sitcom you and I have watched, and then we can go."
I thought that blonde lady was really hot.
There was 2, and they both were.
Oh God, who's the other blonde lady?
There's Eliza Coupe and Alicia Cuthbert. Eliza Coupe was on the last season of Scrubs.
It's not Eliza Coupe.
Alicia Cuthbert. Yeah, she's married to a hockey player. Yeah,
she was in like The Girl Next Door or whatever.
Yeah, she was.
Dude.
24.
That was hot.
Yep.
That was hot.
But I've been watching a lot of it, and there's a thing that show is a similar one where it's just a delivery for really good jokes, you know? But there's a thing they do is even when the jokes themselves are like pop culture references or like maybe above the level of the intelligence of what the character is supposed to be. They always find a way to tune it to make it make sense that the specific character that's delivering that joke is supposed to be the one delivering it, you know?
I think New Girl does a similar thing.
New Girl does a similar thing, where it's the point of this is clearly all written. This is all just like comedy writers patting themselves on the back for being really clever, but they make the tiniest modicum of an effort to make it make sense for the character. Whereas here, it doesn't make sense. It's like Motif thinks Friends is the news. He doesn't know what When Harry Met Sally is, you know?
Right. Motif also, like, in the last episode, or Motif in the City episode, it's like, he's just like, I think he's just the worst character. He gets done the dirtiest because he's both stupid and crazy. Yeah. And it's like, Jane is crazy, but she's not very stupid.
No,
but
she just hates being Iranian, Yeah,
well, she's like, I don't know. Yeah. That's a whole other thing that we're going to have to get into, because there is another weird joke in this episode.
Yes, I wrote that down too.
But, I don't know. The show's just very interesting, but I think Motif does get the shortest end of the stick in this, because he has to write, like, if Jane's crazy, Motif can just be stupid, but Motif's stupidity is, like, shadowed by Andre's stupidity and shadowed by Jane's weirdness, so he has nothing to do. It's like, just make Motif, like, normal. I keep begging the show to keep Motif just a normal guy, but he insists on thinking that Friends is the news.
That is I think we brought that up a lot, but also, what a crazy thing to have a character do, you know? Like, because the joke to make it not insane of like, oh, I thought this was white, whatever, you know, is right there, but they just choose not to do that, which is almost a commentary on the writing staff itself. It's like, they couldn't even view the perspective of what an actual black person would say, and so they just made it insane.
Yeah. I think, I mean, Motif just consistently, even last episode, Motif in the City, it's like, this is his episode, and you waste your entire episode having him running around being crazy, acting like his roommate, like, wanting to be on the lease so he can pay more money for rent, and then he's, like, friends with a bunch of middle-class ladies. Isn't that weird? It's like, no, it's not that weird, honestly. Yeah.
It's New York City.
It's New York City.
Like, everyone I know could be from anywhere, you know?
Yeah, it's like, there's no certain way people act, you know? And I can't even act like this was, like, back in the day. This was 2014.
It was 10 years ago,
People are people.
You know what's funny is, like, I was talking to Abhishek, the previous guest we had, about like, the weird race jokes in it. And I was like, and I mean, you know, it's especially weird knowing that it comes from like an all white writing staff. And he was like, oh wait, really? It was all white? And he was like, I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. And I was like, I looked it up. It is Marika Sawyer is half Japanese, but she's the only person of color, quote unquote, in the staff. But I was also like, I mean, yes, it wasn't that long ago. It's 10 years ago, but it was still 10 years ago. That was not a thing that you had to like even make an attempt at it. That's what the whole, not to get political, but the whole thing of like DEI, it's like, that, like, it's so recently where, like, people even had to pretend that they gave a shit about this, you know?
Right. And everybody made a big stink about it the entire time. And it's like, it's never, like... I felt like similarly about Me Too, and maybe this is, like, a weird angle to take, but it's like, why are you all obsessed with the entertainment angle of this and not the actual, like, real-life people? Yeah. Like, everyone's fucking mad that we have, like, a Latina Snow White and a black Little Mermaid. Yeah. But, like, and they don't give a shit about the fact that it's like, oh, like, I don't know, dude. Like, having, like, a black superintendent of a majority black county is, like, important. Like, they understand the experience of these people.
Yeah.
Instead of someone
and that doesn't actually happen.
No, it's just ridiculous how these people start to think about this stuff. And it's like, when you think about writing stuff, it's like, I always roll my eyes because it's like, these political things, like, I feel like I talk about it because I want to work in entertainment.
Yeah, sure.
I want to be in entertainment. But it's like, why does my mom have an opinion about, like... I know. DEI in Hollywood. I don't care about, like, woke gone broke. You know? I know. Like, I have, like, uncles who are like, like, Disney went woke. It's like, no, Disney didn't go woke. They just tried to appeal to every kind of audience.
They're still just trying to make money, you know? But. So, speaking of that, let's transition into, Christmas special. Their Journey to Space special, and they're going specifically against their competition is an ABC show, which is interesting that they named an actual network. An ABC show hosted by Jesse Tyler Munoz, a Hispanic talk show host played by Nick Kroll.
Yay!
Can we play like applause right here?
Yeah.
I wrote something about like the fact that there's because Ron Funches is also in this episode, which I appreciate. But there was like a thing of
for a second.
For a second, yeah. It is weird. I guess his career was not where it is now. But there was a thing of...
He was in everything. He was a New Girl. He was all over.
He was a New Girl after this, wasn't he? Well, I don't know. I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
I don't remember.
The point is, there's so many, like, just pop-ins from Mulaney's friends where at certain points I'm like, this is just, like, listening to a bad podcast of, like, it's a bunch of, like, people who really know each other, but not striking gold at all. So I'm like, I'm just listening to a lunch table conversation of a crew that I'm not a part of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you guys got to hang out. I'm sure that's hard once you're successful and have a certain age, but like, you didn't need to film and distribute it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, dude, there's like, I like everything about this episode, but everything about Andre's plot in this episode, which is the Ron Funches thing, is like the worst of the show, I think.
Well, it leans into the stuff that we've been talking about every episode, you know? Like
the more unfunny the episode is, the better it's structured, but the funnier the episode is, it like makes like less sense, you know?
Right. Well, and I've been saying for a while, I've been saying for a while that the point of this show is to just write good lines. Funny lines that the characters can say. Because I think every other comedic kind of set piece that you can have, be that physical gags, be that like impressions, be that whatever, this cast is not going to be able to pull off. Maybe Marty can, but how do you feel about Martin Short in this episode? Because I feel like he wasn't giving it his all. I feel like he was better in other episodes, you know?
I do think he's better in other episodes. I do think he was like, he just had less in this. I think
he probably had less of that. Yeah, I'm sure he wanted to commit, but it was a thing where I was like, dude, you're easily the MVP of every single episode before this, and it feels like you weren't like you weren't really trying here. And part of me was like, I'm sure it was just like the script itself, but it would be funny if like 8 episodes in he's like, this isn't going anywhere. Like, yeah. I'm gonna stop committing.
Yeah, he just gives up on the show, and it's like really evident.
Yeah.
No, but like, you know, we've talked about this before too, but like, if the show was more about John and his mentors and focused more on the Lou relationship, they wouldn't have to keep Lou as this like lofty, strange character the whole time, and then fill in all the personality stuff with like Jane and Motif and John. But, like, because Lou always has to be almost, like, either a plot-driving force or, like, a sage uncle character or, like, something that's, like, a little bit outside of the main trio, that he just is, like, removed from it, you know? So it's, like, on an episode like this where it's, like, you want to do more bits and stuff and it's less... I mean, this is an episode that should be more about Lou than it is. It's not. Yeah. It ends up being about John auditioning for it. I don't mind this. I don't mind it. It's a John episode. It's about John. We've had episodes about Jane. We had an episode about Motif. We had an episode kind of about Andre a little bit, but this one is just like kind of all about John. So it's like I think you're gonna sacrifice stuff like that. I'm nitpicking a little bit. What I like first, I'll say that I like that this is a world where people still do Christmas specials and just like TV game show hosts are doing Christmas specials. Very funny. But like John talks about how he auditioned and was an actor as a kid to Lou, and he says like this is like jokes that are just weird. I don't know how they made it to air or how they made it out of the script. He says he was in a Church of Latter-day Saints commercial where he split a cupcake. That just must be real because it's not a joke. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
It gives me the same vibe as certain Family Guy bits where I'm like, oh, I guess I just don't know that reference.
Dude, that's literally in my notes. Sometimes this show feels like when I would watch TV with my mom or watch Family Guy secretly in my bedroom and I just wouldn't know who that celebrity was. Yeah. I would be like, I guess that's something I'll figure out when I'm 28.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what the cupcake means.
Well, you know, Did you look it up? Should we look it up?
John Mulaney split cupcake?
No, I wouldn't say John Mulaney. I'll say LDS Church split cupcake. I can't find anything.
No, my eyes.
Yeah. No, it's nothing.
That's really like their dark secret. We weren't supposed. John is signaling
it's like all this,
us. It's a dog whistle.
Yeah. For anti-Mormon material, I guess whatever. You know, some people describe it as a cult. Anyway, but there is but it's interesting you bring up the thing about how it's still like a network TV world. Is like there's a thing about this that I feel that maybe we haven't really touched upon is that I think in the first episode we talked about how this show was kind of for no one. It was meant for Mulaney fans, but then you watch it and it's like clearly not for them because it covers ground that you've seen better. The point of this show, I think, is obviously the reason you choose a network multi-camera format rather than like basic cable on FX or HBO and make it like something weirder is because you want to have the widest possible audience. And I think in 2014, that still wasn't the case, but it was still early enough on in that transition that you can be excused for making that mistake of thinking, if I have this, much more people are going to know who I am. So it's not for people who know who John Mulaney and Nick Kroll are. It's for people who have no idea who they are, and they can get into them based off of this very broad television show. And so I was thinking that just because there's a running gag in this, so Nick Kroll plays a Hispanic character. In my mind, a pretty offensive Hispanic character because he's
orange.
He's orange, and then when he is off camera, off camera, he's doing just a deeply stereotypical Mexican accent, and the bit is like, "Oh, you have a much stronger accent off camera," and he's like, "Yeah, I wanted to win these awards, even with the hint of an accent to show that it was just me," and it's just like, what are you talking about? And then there's a running gag where Lou keeps calling him a fake Hispanic. And in my head, I was like, oh, is the reveal going to be... It's either one of two things. One is they're making a meta bit about, like, where we clearly cast a non-Hispanic person. Or it's foreshadowing and the reveal is going to be he's not Hispanic at all, right? And that's going to be his downfall or whatever. Neither of those things happen. He is clearly Hispanic, and it just was offensive. And two, it's like, it's not really meta because the show is not meant for people who know who he is. So it's just like, I guess they cast a white guy, or I guess that's just what his voice sounds like. It doesn't actually make sense. There's no part of it where I am understanding what the joke is supposed to be, other than I'm laughing at a guy doing a Mexican accent.
Right, which I don't laugh at because I'm not... I wouldn't have laughed as a kid because I'm too confused. Sometimes, like, racism is so confusing, it's like when a guy says a racist joke to you, but you don't understand, like, what stereotype it's playing on.
Yeah.
You're like, is that, like, a thing about, like, Chinese people? I didn't know.
I know. There was, like, an old college humor bit about that where it was, like, it was, like, racist clown, and it was, like, you get kids know the time? It's like, of course you are. You're Chinese. You always know the time. And it's like, is that a what? Is that a thing we do?
Yeah, it's, like, really ridiculous things. And, like, the Nick Kroll thing is weird because it's, like, he is... I don't want to say white, but like he speaks plain English on TV. He is white. He's a white actor.
He speaks in an American accent, his actual voice on television.
And then off television, he speaks completely Spanish. He's doing his character from Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah.
El Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Who is a Mexican radio host.
Yes.
Which is like, that's different when it's an audio only. I mean, it's clearly not
it's
great.
It's also like if you want to take issue with that, that's fair. You know, you can take issue with that. But also, it's almost made worse here by the idea of showing that that's not actually what he sounds like.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, in a weird way, I could see them think that it makes it better, but then it also is weird because he's almost like maybe the bit is like, oh, you need to sand yourself down to appeal to, like, the white masses, but that's not how this joke reads at all. No. But he specifically says, I wanted to win, like, awards meant for Hispanic people but only by doing an American accent because showing that I'm so good at that. But it's also like, but that's not what you said. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I can't
He's
connect
the bad guy
in any way.
So have him
also,
be
he's a villain.
Fake.
Yeah, I know.
He can be a completely white man. He can be Hillary Baldwin.
Yeah. Well, right.
Baldwin.
Because then it's even weirder because he's canonically Hispanic, but then you have another main character repeatedly calling him a fake Hispanic, which is wild. Imagine if they cast an actual Hispanic person and then they just had Martin Short being like, you fake Mexican. You'd be like, what are you doing?
Like, just question. It's like, it'd be like, it's just a ridiculous part of the story. He does not need to be Spanish at all.
Right. It has nothing to do with anything.
I would rather him be like fake gay. That would be funnier. He's pretending to be gayer than he is for TV.
Right.
Or like he's pretending to be fatter like Lizzo does.
Right.
Like, do something like that.
Well, it's funny because it's like, you think about like the identity he actually is, and it's like, you know, if he's playing like playing into Jewish stereotypes, and then you had Martin Short call him a fake Jew, everyone would be like, okay, maybe we don't put this on television.
Yeah. It's like for some reason there's no Spanish people in the cast. There's no Spanish people
or in the writers' room. Yeah.
I think sometimes Hollywood does, and I've heard Spanish comics talk about this before, they almost discard Spanish people in like almost a similar way that they discard like Asian people as like unoffendable. You know what I mean? Like, because they're like, well, it's like I don't know. Like, it's like they're not even paying attention.
Well, right. Well, it's just like you want to make fun of someone, and you can't make fun of. I mean, you can obviously make fun of everyone, especially these days. But it's like the thing that people will get mad about, or that you think will get mad about, is like the demographic that is black people, or maybe like gay people, or something. And
handicapped people.
You always
he can't be handicapped.
You're always looking for a thing, and that still exists. Like
it would be funny if he was pretending to be blind. Like that would be funny. But like putting on Tanner on Nick Kroll and having him be a confusing like. It's like, do it. Fine, do it. He's a fake Latino. But you don't even do it correctly to the point where it's like, I like this episode, and I'm
I know. That's
it.
my point too. And that's my point too. It's like, I actually like this one the best. But it's also like, the punchline is just there. Make him fake Hispanic, and that's his downfall. Is it cliched? Sure. But avoiding the cliche, now it's just weirdly offensive, and I don't understand removing the offense, I'm like, I don't even understand what's happening. Like, I don't understand what this episode is. And there's
also, his Spanish accent hinders his capacity to be funny on the show, because I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah, that's not what he actually sounds like.
I don't know what he's saying half the time, and then I watched it twice.
Yeah, clearly the live audience doesn't either, because there's things that are supposed to be bits that he pauses for that no one laughs at, and you're like, oh yeah, they don't get it either. And they didn't think that to fix it. But like, so there is other race bits in this. So like there's a runner about a Filipino Santa in New Jersey that they go and visit, and then at the end of the episode it's revealed that he's the guy that like he left John's audition tape for him so that he could realize that he actually was a terrible actor and then come in and save the day, right?
And then he flies over the sky while John voices him.
That's John's voice. And I was like, oh, well, at least I know where you got the voice you do when you're doing your new mother-in-law, Like, there's what that is.
Yeah. I like Filipino Santa.
yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it's like, look, so I've had people like express discomfort to me when I've like done jokes where I just say like the adjective on someone I'm talking about is a race, Like we had a joke about where we had like a Bob Dylan sketch, and the end of it is like he went around singing songs and slamming half Lebanese waitresses, and I've heard people, and like I can understand where both sides, because it's like the comedy writer is told that specificity is funnier, which is true.
Yeah.
And so you go in for the specific thing, which happens to be a race, but it's also like, what does that mean for someone who may identify as that race, is that they then associate all the negative stereotypes that they've had to deal with onto that character, and you're saying, well, the joke is just that, like there's nothing deeper in it, the joke is just you saying this race and this adjective, and so it's just generalized it's not specific, it's just generalized in the worst way. So I can understand if you find that offensive. That said, I still think just saying Filipino Santa as an image, it's incongruous, yeah. And there's an inherent comedy to that. So I think that is more defensible.
But they do tag it, too.
They do tag it. His long cigarette. There's like images,
candy.
There's details that like add to this really weird image that you're building up and obviously not showing. It's like a Vera from Cheers thing, It's like, it makes sense as to where this is coming from. So if you have an issue with that, I see where you're coming from, but I think it's a lot more defensible than having Nick Kroll be an actual Hispanic person that people don't think is Hispanic, but in real life is not Hispanic.
Right. Yeah, it's very weird. It's almost like an even more complicated Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder. It's a white guy playing an Australian playing a black guy, and then in this it's a Jewish guy playing a white guy playing a Spanish guy, but he might actually be Spanish in the show. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And also with race stuff, what you were talking about, I get it with the what was it, half Lebanese waitresses or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I get
that was just the first joke that I think that came into mind.
I think that's a great example too, because like I think like I roasted a black comic down here in Florida, and I've also like roasted a woman comic, and I think like when you're doing stereotypes about like
the two genders,
there's black people and there's women. My two
and women have got to go.
Every time black people try to have a good time, women come around. I'm not cutting that. I don't care.
No, whatever.
I've lost my train of thought. No, it's
you're
just
roasting
like
you're roasting these two comics.
It's like when I'm roasting the woman, my consciousness. I'm conscious of. Don't just call her like a dumb slut because that's easy
and it's hack.
It's hack, and the way out of hack when you want to talk about demographic comedy is through like a appreciation through understanding. So when I'm roasting the black comic and I go, thank you for taking some time away from swimming in your jeans to be here today, it's because I'm paying attention to black people. It's not because I'm like, his favorite flavor is watermelon. Like, that's so stupid.
It's also there's it's a specificity to it, you know? It's also
a specificity through appreciation that you know them.
It's also not necessarily a negative. If you're like, I bet this guy has like child support payments he's not doing. It's like that's a bad thing that people don't want to be associated with. But it's like if you're swimming in your jeans, ultimately who cares? But it is a funny thing that people have noticed that you can bring up, you know?
Yes. It's like maybe he doesn't even do that, but it's like if you're gonna be racist or you're gonna do a racist joke, it better be not hack. Because if you're gonna do a fried chicken joke or call a woman a whore, it's like come on, man. Like this is 2025. We've had stand up for about
That's the other thing. Is it's like
we all have Twitter. Like,
not only are you being offensive, you're being lazy, which is kind of worse. You know?
Yeah. That's what bothers me about podcasts. Like, you sit down, you watch, like, a fucking podcast, and it's like, okay, so it's like, in your stand-up, like, someone like Shane Gillis, it's like, if he's offensive in stand-up, it's like, well, there's some effort behind it, but on your podcast, you're not putting effort in.
Right.
You're just being offensive.
There's no craft to it, which seems lame to say about, like, comedy in general, but there is a craft to it. And, and yes, you could just be funny, but, like, there's a thing that people put the time into. And the thing about podcasts that always, like, annoyed me was it's like, oh, well, I mean, you know, it's clearly funny. And it's like, yeah, but it's his best friend of 20 years that's laughing at it, you know? It's a lot more impressive when you go into a room of people who don't know you and you just make them laugh, you know? Like, when it's just your boys, like, yeah, all of us can do that. That's why we're friends, you know? It's not that interesting. Yeah.
Oh, there's a great joke in here. We can transition out of it. There's a joke that I think is one of the best jokes of the whole show.
Okay, I'm interested to hear
John has a beef with a famous person who doesn't know him. He's just like you and me, Aditya. So, about Macaulay Culkin. He says he hates Macaulay Culkin. When I saw My Girl, I rooted for the bees. And when I saw Richie Rich, I rooted for the bees from My Girl.
Yeah. Phenomenal bit.
He's back. He's back.
That's a bit. Yeah.
That is worth that to me, and it's not my call to make. Makes up for the racist Nicole stuff. Nobody asked me, but for me, it cleans my guilty conscience.
There were some jokes that I did. Let's see. There was one that I liked. The one part of the Andre plotline I liked was at the very end when they're debating when he's getting Andre onto the Christmas special, and he goes, "I'll give you $100," and he goes, "50," and he goes, "Deal," and I'm like, "That's funny." It's a good back and forth.
Just quick.
It's good.
Yeah.
As far as like meta jokes go, the two at the end where it's like Macaulay Culkin dropped out because he doesn't like playing himself in television. That's funny,
right? Because he's not in the episode.
He's not actually in the episode.
Talk about.
Yeah.
I would like, but also another joke I like. Nick Kroll is trying to steal things from Luke's Christmas special, and he has a notepad and he's sneaking around. And he writes down decorations, lights.
He doesn't even understand. He doesn't even understand how TV works.
Like lights. Like John's like, why would you need to write down lights?
Well, I mean, the best jokes here are when nobody knows when they're just crazy and dumb, you know?
Yeah. But here's a joke that bombs that I would have liked, but for some reason it bombed to me. They're talking about Michael Jackson and Lou's like...
I know.
It's a weird joke.
Yes, very weird.
Because John's like, oh, I wish I was Macaulay Culkin. I would have taken care of Michael Jackson. And it's like...
Told him not to take anesthesia,
Yeah, well, he did like... molest children and maybe Macaulay Culkin.
But this was in the middle. So there was a period of time from his death in 2009 to the release of Leaving Neverland in 2019, a solid decade, basically all the 2010s, where you weren't allowed to make Michael Jackson jokes.
Okay.
But no, that isn't really interesting because they were literally smack dab in the middle. It's also like pre-Me Too, so even that as an idea of like we should be talking about these powerful men who abuse their power in certain ways, that was not part of the conversation. So it's literally the perfect time if you're talking about Michael Jackson, you are not saying anything negative about him.
Yeah, and so what does he say? Like Lou is like Michael Jackson, and just between us, very troubled.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Like, it just didn't work, but
and like, also Marty's the guy to say that, you know? Like, he's the character that can pull that off, but like, just that as a punchline, I'm like, they should have just let him improv, like, ad-lib a few jokes, you know? I'm sure he would have gotten something better. And maybe he did. Maybe that was the best one, but I don't know.
Like, a lot of people don't know this. Michael Jackson, weird guy. Yeah. Like, I don't know, it's like, it felt
if you want to do a race joke, just go. A lot of people don't know this, but between you and me, Michael Jackson, black. Like, that could have worked, you know?
Yes, that would have been so much better.
Right? Like, especially this episode, you know?
Yes. And, like, I want to start calling people that fake Hispanic.
I know. Just the way he said that. I mean, when Nick Kroll pops up on the set and starts doing the voice, I genuinely almost fell out of my chair. I was like, no, God. I thought it was just going to be the spray tan that I was offended by, but like, holy shit. He's really doing this.
Yeah. It's the only way to do it. You can't half-ass it.
Yeah.
The only way it would work.
I guess I respect it in that instance, as he's not pussyfooting around it.
I mean, he's from a time, even to go on a tangent about Nick Kroll, it's like he's from a time where, like, I think, like, going up at improv theaters and sketch shows, and he would do these, like, sketches, and even if you watch Kroll's show, it's like,
a lot of it is broad sketches. I mean, that's what, like, a lot of sketch shows kind of are. Yeah. Like, you had the era when it was men in drag, and then you had it in, like, men in race drag, you know?
Yeah. Also known as blackface.
Also known as blackface. Yeah, I mean, there was like because I feel like there's two different, or Trudeauing as we call it where I'm from. But yeah, I mean, there's
Trudeauing the Stone.
Trudeauing the Stone. Did you hear? There's a new movie called A Nice Indian Boy coming out, and Jonathan Groff is in it, and I was like, hell yeah! And then they're like, he's not playing the title character, and I'm like, ah, man.
He's dressed up as Jafar.
I know. Look, if you were in Hamilton, you can do brown face once. I'm giving you that pass.
Hey man, that's really big of you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you wouldn't have said that. So.
No, I wouldn't have. Yeah, okay. And then under the current administration, I feel like I have to say it.
Yeah, it might actually help you be able.
To travel between countries. Yeah. I'll say so. The end is that John realizes he needs to go save the special, and then they do. Yeah,
I love when Motif and Jane do the "It's a Wonderful Life."
Yeah. There's a lot of good bits in that.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole show. That's why this episode is both racist, confusing, but has some of the best things from this show.
Yeah,
I love it. Like Motif is a cookie farmer.
Yeah. That part, it's like, you think chocolate chips grow on trees? Like,
they're like, yes. He's like, how do you two know each other if I introduced you? And they're like, we're married. He's like, then have sex right in front of me. It's like, what?
Well, there's another like, and then in that, there's another like little like slip in that they're clearly gonna do, if they got fucking 5 seasons, they were gonna get John and Jane together, where it was like, we became friends because I let you cheat off my homework because you said you'd hook up with me, and it's like, so you are in love with her, like that's everything you're doing, like. But then also thinking about what this show is, if they had gotten a season 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm like, how would they have done a romance plotline between their two leads? Like, it makes zero sense. But I don't know.
Imagine
it's just so funny.
Imagine the trailer in between like whatever other Fox show was on at the time. And it's like, this week, John and Jane's romance is getting a little turned up.
I know.
Like, they would definitely give Oscar like a famous boyfriend that would like come in as like a one-season arc cameo. It would be like...
It would have been Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen. All right.
I don't know. It's not going to be Ellen.
It was not going to be Ellen, to be honest.
For a lot of reasons, it wouldn't have been Ellen. Yeah, she was.
But I love that scene. That's a great scene.
Really good.
When when they want to show John what it would have been like if he actually got cast in Home Alone.
Yes.
And so they show like a really shitty idea of what their lives would have been. Very funny, very good bit. I do want to say, this is maybe one of my last notes, but if Culkin wasn't going to do a cameo, then why did the whole episode feel like it was ramping up to a Culkin cameo?
Right. I mean, and I think probably what it was they started with the real life seed of an idea of like John did audition for Home Alone, and then he has a weird beef with Macaulay Culkin, and then they just did it, and then at one point they were probably like, "Oh wait, would people think that he's going to be in this episode?" So then they like hastily wrote a thing of like, "Oh, he doesn't like playing himself on TV," which I think is a good bit. And so it's fair enough, but like it seems like another thing of like the writers not realizing what they're actually writing, which you see a lot about in this show.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind the ending either. I didn't mind that John gets to see his audition. His audition was bad.
That is funny.
And then what is it? They do the special. I mean, I would have liked that Nick Kroll's character has some.
There's no resolution. Also, it's like if you don't want to make it that he's faking it, fine. If you don't want to make it, but like he just leaves the episode. Like there's no conclusion to this arc.
This whole episode feels like an episode of iCarly.
I could see that. Yeah.
Like there's many weird gags.
Like a Schneider thing in general, because I remember there was there was like a Victorious episode that ends with them being chased around in big costumes and stuff. And I'm like, that's very, that's very, what's the word? Like, that's very like the puppets and shit or whatever.
Yeah. But like, it like hair phone instead of iPhone.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Not the Muppets, it's the
The Zoggles or something.
Zoggles,
yeah.
I was going to say the Woppets, which feels like an Italian racist
sounds like it's
one.
Yeah,
it's like a racist Italian, like a big Tony Soprano.
Well, another bit I liked is like they're the second best puppet group, and it's like, oh, the Muppets are doing Saudi Arabia this year. It's like always. I'm like, okay, cool,
yeah, sure, yeah. Did we know that Saudi Arabia did 9/11 at that time?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, he had already been killed, right? Bin Laden.
Just anyone would know what you're talking.
America's innocence is who I meant.
Yeah. He had already been killed. I used to do a bit when I would do open mics down in Florida where I would be like, when something tragic happens in a country, I know this. You lose something, and then as time goes on, it makes less sense. This bit makes no sense. I've tried to rewrite it so many times, but the bit was just that when 9/11 happened, America forgot what was fun about like the state fair and carnivals.
Well, I remember you telling me this joke, and I was like, all right, just say it again very slowly so I understand what you're even trying to say.
I couldn't explain it. I just couldn't stop laughing.
It was a feeling.
Yeah, it's like a bit that like I think I'll be able to do when I'm 45.
Yeah.
You know that video where Louis like pedophile
is
on
like
Opie and Anthony, and then he does it on SNL. That's my version of that.
Yeah. More horrible things need to happen that you have experience with that you can then connect to things that we've lost.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Whatever.
Aditya gets deported. Mulaney explodes.
And because of that, the taste of pears never felt the same to me, or for any of us.
I don't understand how it's funny though. Like people in my crowds are like, he's just kind of
free associating up there. Is he okay?
Yeah, is he having a stroke?
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I think this is a good, episode. We kind of went into like the history of almost like race and race, discussing race ironically, like in comedy of this era.
Class when we're famous.
We should. Yeah, I would love to do that.
That'd be really funny.
We should link. Can we here just link the Wikipedia page to hipster racist, because I think this kind of goes over that era of New York too. Like, oh no, we can't. We're not a partner. We can't link to external websites. Can we go down there? Go into our penises.
Go into my penis if you want to hear about racism.
Yeah. Well, look, they would. My penis has been called a hipster racist before.
Hey, let me tell you, buddy, my penis can make a killer latte unless you're black.
That actually works and is gross, but also isn't true.
Peter mode activated.
You can put that there, right? Yeah.
I'm just cutting everything.
No. This is good. It's good.
As the podcast goes on, we like the show more, but I cut the episodes.
Yeah, they're like 3 minutes long. It was good. Okay.
Why would I watch this?
Yeah.
No, this is great. I started watching a little bit of the next one. The next one's great too. It's like these are getting better.
Yeah.
This one's racist, but it's like, who cares? It's like finding
I
out.
wanted to say this is maybe structurally out of place or whatever, but I'll say like my hang up with it is still their attempts to like do shit that is clearly not in their strengths. For example, the end bit where they reenact Home Alone and they have John get hit in the head with a paint can and blah blah blah. It's like I get it. Obviously, when you talk about Home Alone a ton in the show, you have to have some kind of parody of it. So I get it, but John Mulaney is not a physical comedian. He is no Joe Pesci. He is no Daniel Stewart. He is best when he is giving a sarcastic line, and he pulls that off a lot of times in this episode. But when they're making him do that, I'm just reminded of why I don't like this show. So, like, just fucking don't do that. Or maybe make Marty do it, you know? Like, someone we know could probably pull it off. It's like, just, guys, like, I get that you're trying to be normie. This is for the normies. This isn't from you and me, you know? This isn't for people who like him and who know a lot about him. This is for, like, our moms. Our moms 10 years ago. I think even now our moms probably know a bit too much about John Mulaney to like this show. But like, it's just like this, like learn what you're good at and avoid what you're bad at is what this is teaching me.
Yeah, I think like, it's sometimes when you get an opportunity in entertainment, and I have had slim opportunities, but it's like sometimes the opportunity isn't for you to make it a vehicle into yourself, but it is an opportunity for you to like play to your strength. So it's like we're not transforming John into like the next Tim Allen. Yeah. But what we should be doing is making John his version of Curb Your Enthusiasm or Louis or Master of None. Like that's what you should have been doing, but you didn't do.
Instead of being an everyman, be the best version of yourself, and then maybe that will turn off a certain percentage of the wide audience you're reaching, but the people who may have already been into you are now going to be so much into you because you're showing the best version of yourself. And it's weird because he kind of did that after the show ended. He went and toured. He did stuff that was very much the best version of himself, and now he is more popular than he has ever been, you know? And maybe there's a version where the show would have jump-started that, but I don't see it. Like, I think everything that happened needed to have happened for him to be here, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's done like a lot of different stuff. And right after this, he did with Nick Kroll, he did Oh Hello, which shows a side of him that can be act and do physical stuff and do something that's a character, which it's like he was good at being a character in Oh Hello. Why is he playing himself in this stupid sitcom that sucks? Like they should have just done Oh Hello as a sitcom or something.
He should have been playing Oscar and Elliot Gould should be playing John.
Well,
do you think this show, will ever get to the point where they do a body swap episode? Probably not, because that seems like a season 2 type beat, but it is a very common sitcom trope. Oh yeah, they did it with Motif.
They did it in episode 4. Jesus, you think you'd have to know anything about these characters before they start switching personalities? You don't. Yeah. But no, episode 4, Jane and Andre switch roles, and it's like I guess Andre is just orange beanie and glasses.
Yeah, and then Andre doesn't even become Jane. He becomes like a buff, attractive Andrew Santino.
Is he redhead? I thought he was like Spanish. I thought he was like.
No, he did. Well, the muscular guy at the end was like a redhead guy. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what the actual character is. I don't even know that he's the one actor I have not looked up the name of.
I prefer not to.
You could not. If you could tell me any name, I'm gonna be like, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
All I care about is Seton Smith.
He's someone we should get on.
What are the odds? What would that conversation be?
We could get Seton Smith on. I guarantee we could get Seton Smith on. But what are the odds that it would be a good episode? I don't know. Well, we could, whatever. Fuck it. We'll talk to him.
And maybe it'll just be like 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's still.
If we get everyone besides John has to do it. That's what I've decided. Yeah. If we can get Elliot Gould and Martin Short, then John. Okay. If we get Martin Short, who is definitely harder to get than John Mulaney, John has to come on this show.
I agree. But that sounds like something like if we make $20 million, we have to become billionaires. It's like sure, but
if everything crazy happens, then like something even crazier happens. I guess you're right.